And by the end of 2020, things started to come back for us. That was we do permanent installations, and a lot of that business started to come back before the live entertainment stuff started to come back. And during 2021, we were rebuilding and we were rehiring. When we design our equipment, we're looking at duty cycles and longevity and how those machines can run for the longest time they can without repair or without too much maintenance. And if they do require some type of maintenance or repair, that's all scheduled in as part of the design and the fabrication of the unit. For me to really engage was to tell my story and to talk about it, like you're saying. That's what you're saying, is, sharing your story, talking about it. It helps other people, and not running away from it, not hiding it.
Welcome to the Theatre Art Life podcast. Today we're talking with Stephen Michelman. Stephen is the founder and co-owner of Entertainment Project Services, also known as EPS and EPSsolves. Stephen started EPS in 2007, providing entertainment design, engineering, project management, and technical direction services. Today, EPS has over 30 team members and has the good fortune to supply services from concept design to fabrication, installation and maintenance on projects worldwide with teams from Walt Disney Imagineering, Royal Caribbean International, Celebrity Cruises, Cirque du Soleil, Wynn Resorts, and MSG, to name a few. Beyond EPS, Stephen now dedicates part of his time to supporting mental health in the entertainment industry as a mental health first aid instructor and writing a mental health column called Open Mic for ESTA's quarterly publication Protocol magazine. Stephen and his wife Molly have lived in Las Vegas for over 25 years and have two sons, Sam and Leo. Stephen's self-care includes time with his family, walking with Molly, writing and cooking. Stephen, welcome to the show. You have had such a long career in the industry, but I want to start with, how did you get into this in the first place? Are you a Las Vegas local?
No, I grew up in New York, on Long Island, a small town called Long Beach, along the south coast of Long Island. And I was thinking about that this morning. I was in my bio on our website, I talk about high school, but I was in summer camp when I first started doing theater. We did little musicals in a barn, and that's where it kind of started for me. Yeah.
And you were immediately interested in doing the production side of it. And what did you start doing first?
No, actually, I performed and was never very good at it, never very comfortable in doing it. But it was the place to start. I never really knew that there was a technical side. I knew scenery appeared, but how that happened, I never paid attention to. And then when I was in high school, the director came to me and said, hey, come here. Basically, like, you're not very good at this acting stuff. Come over here. And he brought me into a room where they were building scenery, and he handed me a hammer, and the rest is, I joined the crew and started learning how to build scenery. And then when I went to college, I also didn't know that theater was a career. I always thought it was just a thing to do for fun, and I wasn't and I wasn't doing very well in school. And I went to in college, I wasn't doing very well. I was a liberal arts major, and I really didn't have much direction. And so I went to my counselor, and she had said, hey, I see you're interested in theater. We have a really good theater program here. And so they sent me over there with all of my drawings. I'd done a lot of my original goal was to go to school to be an architect. And I wasn't a very good student, didn't have very good grades. So I didn't get into any of the architecture schools that I wanted to go to. And and so I brought all my stuff with me, and then I started working over in the theater, and a year later I was a scene design major, and I did well in school from there, and I graduated with a scene design degree from Ithaca College said there, as you said before, um, and then I went and worked for my dad for about 4 years doing uh, fixing cars. He owned an auto repair shop, and then I went back to school to get my degree in technical direction from Penn State.
Nice, nice. Did your father run that business? Was that his?
Yes. Yeah, he and his brother run the business. Yeah.
Is that where you got the impetus to start your own business? Like, where did the business sense for you to, start EPS was?
There was definitely stuff I learned from him and from being part of a small business, and really the impetus for me to start my own business was working so hard uh, for someone else and not getting the satisfaction out of it. Wasn't money. It was just um, I mean, that's part of it, I guess, but it was just the satisfaction I was getting out of it, uh, that I wasn't in control of what I was doing. And
Hmm.
so that's kind of what drew me to do my own thing
Hmm.
in the industry.
What would you advise somebody who's looking to start a business in this industry, having, done that and been successful at it? What were some of the challenges and rewards, I guess, and advice for people who might be thinking about that?
Yeah, if risk is something that is challenging, that's something I would get in touch with first, and really understand what that means, and understand that um, uh, you really are, as a business owner, uh, and I don't know if it's this business or me or what, but you're on your own, really. And what I learned over time is that, at least I always felt I was on my own. And what I learned over time is that you're not really on your own. That those people that you bring in, that are part of your team, that you can rely on to help you build your business,
Mhm.
and not uh, isolate yourself from those people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And did you grow quickly with EPS? Like, what's the journey through with that? I mean, you've got what,
Oh,
30 the employees now?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I worked about 5 years by myself, um, uh,
Right.
and then about 2013, I was that 5 years? 6 years. So 2012. I brought in Joe Ciampelli, who's now one of our co-owners, and our president, who runs the company now, and he came in uh, to do some design work, and then eventually he became a full time for us.
Mm.
And then we hired a part time person. We were in a little room, like a 20 by 20 room that I rented from a friend of ours who had a business. So um, and and then we started to grow. Our business model to start was interesting. To start was, I had an experience where I built machinery and built equipment, and custom the industry building custom equipment. It's a tough business. You're doing a lot of guesswork, and taking a lot of risk, and at so I wanted to have nothing to do with it. And Joe kind of came from another direction where he really enjoyed and wanted to build stuff, and I just wanted to design and hand people their designs, and move on to the next project. And what we learned is that clients don't not most of our clients didn't want to just be handed a design and then go find somebody to build it for them, or take it from there, and they really wanted a one-stop place. And so yeah, and so that's what we started to do. We started to take on some work, that was fabrication, and that's where we really started to take off. Um, and and then we started to bring on. We got a very big project in 2018, I believe, and that's really when we started to grow, and when we brought on we had about 12 people then. And we were probably around 15 at some point, and then the pandemic happened, and we had to let go, about half of our staff. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
then, but by the end of 2020, when things started to come back, we do a lot of permanent installation work, so that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of that work started to come back before the live entertainment work started to come back, at least from our
Sure.
experience. Um,
Mm.
and so then we spent most of 2021 growing. Like, I had this conversation a lot with accountants and the bank, and about how come in 2020 and 2021 things look like you're going like this, and then all of a sudden it drops, and then you continue again. And when we entered 2020 and the pandemic happened, um, we lost jobs, stopped. I mean, this happened to everybody, right? Um, you know, Projects went away, bids we were in. We got letters saying those jobs are canceled, and a lot of people were losing their jobs, and including we had to let people go from our company, and um, uh, then from then by the end of 2020, things started to come back for us. That was We do permanent installations, and a lot of that business started to come back before the live entertainment stuff started to come back. And uh, during 2021, we were rebuilding and we were rehiring, um, and bidding on a bunch of new jobs, and the work just started to come back, and we basically picked up where we left off before the pandemic. uh,
Mm.
and there was saying there was a big dip there in 20 and part of 21, um, and then by the end of 2022 into 2023 we had about 25 employees. So
Mm.
we went from, we had about 6 to 8 people by the end of 2021, and or at end of 2020, and then by the end of 2021 into 22 and 23, we just started to grow uh, exponentially, to catch up from where we were before. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And the accountants were going, "What's going on with this?"
yeah. We were seeing that happen. We get that question a lot. What happened in those years? So
Yeah, that's amazing. And I mean, it was a rough time for everybody. And it's good that I think that when people did come back, they came back very strong. So it's great that the business picked up for you at that point. Is there any projects like pre or even post the pandemic that you're particularly proud that EPS has taken on in terms of a big leap forward for the company?
yeah, I mean, I would say most of our projects, 90% of them are unique, um, uh, are ones that we can talk about. I mean, we that are known. We just finished work on the Sphere,
Mm-hmm.
the project here in Las Vegas, that venue that is LED on the outside and on the inside. That was a really good project for us. We had a really good opportunity there to help with some concept and development that led us into working on a big part of that project. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a cool one. One that we worked on, which was a big project for us, was one for Disney in Epcot Center. It was called Harmonious, and it was a
Right.
big project we worked on for 3 years. We worked on the concept stages and then worked through to fabrication, and we provided installation support, and we had a big project management team on board to support the project. Um, and then they closed that project about a year after it opened. which is unfortunate because it was pretty cool and a fun project to work on. Um, and then we did get to work on the replacement for that, so that's kind of cool as
Mm,
well. Yeah. Uh,
nice.
and then all the Royal Caribbean work we've done has been a lot of fun. Some really unique projects. My favorite project that we've done is the Wright Flyer. I don't know if it's on our website, but it's you can find it online. But it's a scaled down version of the Wright brothers plane that
Oh,
that comes out on stage, and then Flying by Foy did the flying for it, and we designed and built this this plane, and it comes out on stage and flies up with the performer in it and flies out over the audience. Um,
nice.
and the performer actually is operating the plane and performing and singing all at the same time. So pretty cool. That was
Yeah, it's quite amazing what cruise ships are getting up to these days, and I think it's exciting that, I don't know, I think there's kind of perception as like, oh, the people that work on the cruise ships, but that's where a lot of the money's going these days, and that's where they can put some decent money into creating shows. Are you finding that as well?
Oh yeah, I mean they're building ship after ship, and the shows are really the the technology going into the ships and the budgets they're getting and the creative teams they're putting into these shows are really are really pushing the limits of the of what they can do at sea, and it's cool. It's cool to be a part of it.
And now a note from our sponsor. The Theatre Art Live podcast is proud to be sponsored by Clearcom. Clearcom is the leader in voice communications for theatre and the performing arts. Call your cues with the simplicity and elegance of Clearcom Intercom solutions. You can find them at clearcom.com. Go check them out. How much do you, when you're thinking about, designing and creating something for the ship, do you take into consideration its remoteness, right? Like you can't, if something breaks down on a ship, it's it's a problem, right? You can't just call up somebody locally to come in and fix it. Is that a factor when you're thinking about something that's going on a ship? Or maybe that's a factor for everything, but it's kind of the stakes are higher there, right?
Yeah, we design when we design our equipment, we're looking at duty cycles and longevity and how those machines can run uh, for the longest time they can without repair or without too much maintenance. And if they do require some type of maintenance or repair, that's all scheduled in as part of the the design and the fabrication of
Mm-hmm.
the unit.
Mm.
And
No,
and then we send people all over the world to go fix stuff if it needs fixing.
absolutely. Oh, so you do offer sort of ongoing support and maintenance for
Oh
stuff that
yeah,
you've installed. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, of
yeah.
course, yeah. Most cases, some clients they buy the equipment and they become responsible for its maintenance.
Mm,
And some clients, even if they do buy it, they look to us to keep it running. And but most of the clients have their own maintenance teams on board or service teams that at least can identify that there's a problem and
mhm. So switching subjects a little bit now, mental health is quite important to you, and you're a mental health first aid instructor. What sort of, was there any impetus for that to become a focus for you in the industry and being an advocate for that?
yeah, the the pandemic kind of took its toll on me, and the pressure of the industry and the hours and all of that. I had um, uh, some mental health challenges at the end of 2021, um, which took me out of work,
Mhm.
and I spent about 4 months uh, at home. Uh, not working. I was in therapy and I'd started medication and I had uh, anxiety and depression and suicidal ideation, and I was really dealing with that, healing or trying to heal, and the it wasn't it didn't I needed more than that. And so in April of 22, yeah, April of 22, I went into treatment for about 5 weeks. And I didn't sleep. I wasn't sleeping, and it was just I was not in a good place, and I got great care and great support and great help um, in there, and also from my family and my my team, company, and then the support I got in treatment really really helped. And uh, I so I was there for about 5 weeks, and then when I got out in end of May of 2022, and that really was the best thing I could have done for myself. It was a hard thing to do. Check yourself into a clinic like that, but I was in a clinic with other professionals, and there were lawyers and doctors and COs and um, there was a warden of a prison there. Like we had but it was all professionals, and so that was really it's when you're with people who understand what you're going through, and people recognize what you're going through, and you get to connect with somebody who's going through the same thing. It really changes. It really makes a difference. So when I got out, that kind of became my vision was to support others going through that. And and part of one of the things I did in when I was in treatment was talking about I spoke with a vocational coach about what was next, and I wasn't running away from my business, but I was looking for something that the business was something that impacted me, and still admittedly does today. Um, I have all the tools and the skills and everything I need to manage that, but it's still a challenge. So anyway, so when I got out, I took a mental health. Oh, I was talking about the vocational, a little all, but the so one of the things we talked about was peer support, and just came up from different questions I had answered and things we had discussed, and so that was kind of a direction I took. And one of the things that came up was mental health first aid course. And there's an organization here called Behind the Scenes that provides access to mental health first aid. They through from an entertainment standpoint. You can mental health first aid. You can go online, go to the mental health first aid site. Started in Australia in 2000, and they brought it to the United States in 2008. And uh, you can sign up through them and have an instructor who has entertainment experience, and all of the people in the class are from the entertainment industry, and they monitor that, and they keep that. That's one of the benefits of going through the behind the scenes folks. However, you can go on mental health first aid and sign up for any class. You can there's hundreds of people who are teaching it, and you can take it online, you can take it in person. And so I took it online. I signed up, and it was amazing. It was a great class. I really learned a lot, and so I volunteered to work to support the class. So I was a facilitator, and I supported the instructors. Um, and then I did that for about 6 months, and then in I guess longer. But in January of last year, I became an instructor, and so I've been doing it for about a year now, teaching. And I've done both online and in-person classes, and it's amazing to go through it, especially with people in our industry. The same topics come up: the hours, the pressure, the kind of the relentlessness of the work, and everybody's going through it, and we meet a lot of people and talk to a lot of people who have experienced friends and colleagues and who have died by suicide in this industry. And
Mm.
so, my vision there is, to prevent that and support those in the industry, and give people the tools they need to recognize those signs of people struggling.
Mm. Well, first of all, thank you for that, because I think that it's it's such an important facet of the industry, and I think that I find that um people who are in the industry that can talk to that has more resonance for people than them speaking to a professional maybe outside that industry, right? Because you can identify with what they may be going through, and I think that can be reassuring. I know that we had a collaboration, Theatre Out Life had a collaboration with the Arts Wellbeing Collective, which is also an Australian entity. And for quite a while, we published a bunch of their content. And even for me, like, it was incredible, some of the things, the tools that I could just, have in my pocket, I think, for when things get a little bit stressful about how to come and go. I've had to come and go from my family quite a lot for traveling for work. And so that emotional disconnection from the family and working really hard and then coming back and trying to connect with your children again, it has its effects, and we don't talk about that, you know. So that's really great that you're doing that. And also, I don't probably know many people. I know many people who have had colleagues who have committed suicide in our industry. I think it'd be hard pressed to find people that you didn't know of somebody, So it's something we have to keep continuing to try and improve the conditions and situation where people can stay on top of that. So it's great.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and yeah, it is hard. You might be working with 100 people, but there's a feeling of isolation there when you're away from your family and in a foreign place. Absolutely.
Mm.
And to what you were saying about uh, something, maybe remember this, but the real uh, uh, I like your word, empathy, for me to really engage was to tell my story and to talk about it. Like you're saying, that's what you're saying, is sharing your story, talking about it. It helps other people, and not running away from it, not hiding it. There's going to be, for me, when I talked about it, I made connections that supported me, not pushed me away, or made it worse. And so, and I was fortunate there, and I know there are a lot of people who tell their story, and the stigma and the misconceptions and all the things that come with that can impact somebody's relationship with somebody else, and or a work situation or whatever, and it's really hard to talk about it. And sharing my story was really the thing that really kind of brought it forward for me. That really brought what I was envisioning in my head for myself. And I didn't share this, but or maybe you mentioned it in my bio, but I started writing articles, and my articles come uh, from my experiences, uh, and in hope that I connect with somebody, just one person, to help them, support.
Well, I think there's such a power in that, right? Because it's a power from experience rather than just a learned uh, aspect of what mental health means, right? Like, having gone through it yourself means that you can speak with a lot of depth and breadth on that. So, yeah, no, it's amazing.
And I went through your site yesterday. I've been to it a couple of times, but I didn't realize how much content you have, and there's a lot of really great information, and you have a lot of really great mental health information on there. A lot of people sharing, like we're talking about here, and
Mm.
think that's really great. It'd be cool if you had a mental health tab on your site so you can find those things easier. Right.
Noted. No, it's good because it's good feedback because for us in Theatre Art Life, nothing's off the table in terms of conversation of the thing. Their struggles, the good things, the bad things, and lifting the curtain behind the scenes of what workers really like about in our industry. That was the biggest thing, and also just because there's just so many amazing people that we meet and who have wonderful stories, and that make you really, it's a special industry if you look at it from a positive light, on the good side of it, right? Like there's so many wonderful experiences that you get to help build the Sphere. Like that's an icon in Las Vegas now. That's not everybody can be part of those things, and so um, I like to come from a place of gratitude, which keeps me in a good, positive mental health state, even though when you've had a long day like I have had today. So, and I get to speak to people like you, so it makes it even more enjoyable.
You're still smiling. That's good.
Exactly.
I like that.
So we always finish our podcast with a few questions. So I want you to answer on a positive note. What's the most favorite thing about your job or the industry?
I love the concept part. I love when what we do a lot of is people come to us and say, I have an idea. And we have people come to us and say, I have an idea. We don't think it works, but we know you're going to say yes to it. Right? That's the kind of stuff I love is taking those ideas. We get ideas that are just presented verbally. There's no sketch, not even on a napkin, and then we get to partner with them and create this whatever it is for them. So that's one of my favorites. And then the other is seeing it
Yeah.
live. So
Seeing it in the show or
yeah,
whatever you've manifested. That's amazing. Yeah.
yeah.
And if you could change one thing about your job or the industry, what would that be?
Timeline. I would change timelines and people and I've written about this and people talk about this all the time, that the show must go on mentality. I get it. It makes sense. I'm not suggesting like we don't honor opening night. Just saying that we respect the lives of other people when it comes to creating these experiences, and to take into account that we're all. I'm sounding kind of, but yeah, that we don't forget the people that are creating
Yeah.
these amazing experiences.
Do you think that timelines have gotten shorter post-pandemic, or the expectations of timelines have gotten shorter post-pandemic? Because I feel that it has.
Yeah, all of it. The timelines are shorter, the budgets are less, and the costs are more, and it's and it's a lot of pressure on people, and there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work out there, and no one wants to miss out on that either.
Yeah.
Eat when you can is it's a real thing. So.
Yeah, that's right. So, and the last question, the first person that would come to mind for you, not to put you on the spot, to be a good podcast guest for us at Theatre Art Life, who comes to mind in your network?
Oh, I know a lot of really, a lot of people with a lot of experience in this industry. Our president, Joe Ciampelli,
Mm-hmm.
our new general manager, Tony Ricotta. So Joe comes from, he and I worked together at a company called Fisher Technical many years ago. And then Joe went and worked for a company called ZFX, where he did a lot of flying effects. And so he's worked on, he goes way back. I don't remember the pirate ships at Treasure Island, the ships that sank. He he worked on that project. So he worked at Siegfried and Roy. Like he's been around, and
He's
Tony
got
is.
some.
Yes, he's got some stories, and so did Tony Ricotta, who also worked for Siegfried and Roy, but worked in New York, and then uh, also worked for 25 years. He's an interesting person as well. So I would definitely recommend those two guys, not just because they work for me, but they're also they're
Characters.
they're very interesting. They're really good, a lot of experience and a lot of good stories. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Well, we'll have to get their contacts from you so we can reach out to them as well. That'll be amazing.
Can I change my answer about what I would change in industry? Because
Yeah.
I think I don't know why I didn't say this, but I would change the idea. I was thinking about this, and I don't know if there's a fully developed thought, but that our industry is handling mental health the same way they handle bidding on jobs and creating experiences with the same kind of isolated, like the way we handled the pandemic, doing it from all these different areas instead of coming together and working as one to create a world where we are where mental health challenges are not we're not having this conversation. It's part of our operation, just like you put on a harness before you go up on the grid, right? Same thing. That's what I would like to see and change for our industry.
And that means by implementing mental health safety and practice within organizations to prevent people from getting to that place in the first place, right? Because you're saying, we're talking about it and we're trying to address people's issues with it, but let's stop it at the source by changing the industry, right? And making practices where people don't get into that state in the first place.
Yeah, where we provide all the tools, the physical tools we need to do all the work we need to do, and are we providing the mental health tools we need to do the work we do? And the answer is no, right? We're doing it like I said, you have some really great information on your site, and behind the scenes has a ton of great resources, and that wellness organization that you mentioned in Australia is amazing. It's amazing stuff. How do people make those part of their tours, their shows, their companies? Yeah. How does it become and we do this too, right? So.
No, that is actually a very beautiful mission. I am 100% behind you on that vision. So thank you. Stephen, thank you. That was a wonderful discussion with you today on the Theatre Art Life podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a pleasure to learn about your work and your life and your mission.
Thank you for having me, and this was fun and nice to meet you. And you're doing good work. It's good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Theatre Art Life is a global media site for entertainment. Memberships start at only $38 per year. You can have unlimited access to our daily published articles, including entertainment news and the writings of active industry professionals, ensuring that you are always up to date on the global happenings in the world of entertainment. Become a part of the international entertainment community and join us now at www.theatreartlife.com.